Welcome. I'm hoping to make this very short. Um, um, and so I want to show you how to fill out your Project 1 worksheet. The first thing, of course, is to go to the Module 2. Here it is, Module 2. You scroll down to about 231, which right here where it says Topic 1 Exploration Worksheet. You can click that link and it will open it up in Word if you have it online, or you may have to download it. I've already got it open, so I'm going to kind of go here already. Now you've got three areas already that are pre-filled. These are the topics for the course if you don't know what else to use. If you want to do a different topic, you can backspace and type it in under number 4. I do have right of refusal on that. I haven't refused too many, so go ahead if you want to do something, go ahead. I mean, this is the time to do it. And then, of course, so you'll choose one of the 4 areas. Type in here. This is where you're going to type in what you already know about the topic. Hopefully, it'll be something you're interested in, and also make sure it's grammatically correct. I know, I know a lot of people will not like the English aspect of this course, but unfortunately, as we are now communicating in an academic environment, we have to learn to talk academically, which means you use third person, you don't use personal pronouns. We're learning to talk like academics and how academics talk with each other. And so now that you're in this academic community, you're going to learn how to talk like academics so you can sound like an academic, and so you don't sound like an outsider. You want to sound like an academic. And so, as you sound like an academic, you'll be recognized as such. It takes a little finesse, and I totally, I understand that aspect of it, but I also want you to understand why we have to use that. And so as you scroll down, the next thing you're going to do, of course, is identify a question. You have 2 questions that you're going to put here. One is, I'm using the Constitution as a good example. I'm more familiar with that topic than the others, but I want you to, again, this is what you're going to do. Now, your questions, you don't want to be too broad. You'll want to narrow them a little bit. Remember, the objective here should be about a 6-page paper. You're not actually going to write a 6-page paper, but you would want to have the framework to do research for a 6-page paper. And then, again, why did the Founding Fathers see a need for a new Constitution? That's broad enough that you could do a 6-page paper. You don't want to do a 600-page paper. Okay, that's what I'm getting at. So this is just one area. You're specific in who. Now you could see. Now, if you had asked why was there a need for a new Constitution, that's very broad. So plenty of room to move things around in, but we don't, we'll work with this. Okay, this is the first workshop, and this is going to be a topic you're going to stick with for 8 weeks. So again, type a second question. Here's another question. This is one that I came up with. You would have others. Okay, so as you come down, the next thing is sources. Now this is where it gets tricky. Not too tricky, but fairly tricky. The first thing I highlighted here is this area called sources. It's plural. You need 2 sources and for secondary sources, and you'll need 2 primary sources. This is for the first question about why do they need a new Constitution. So this is where you're going to go look for new sources, and you're going to kind of read some sources to discover secondary sources, and then you're going to read some primary sources about this topic. And so you're going to put them here in the APA format. We'll cover those in a minute. It says sources, so you're going to have 4 sources for the first subject, and for the second subject about the ratification, you will have 2 for your second question. Again, sources. So you'll need 2 in the APA format and 2 primary sources in the APA format. Now, the question you're going to have is, where do I find these sources? Well, the best place is to go back to Module 2. Now, you can, if you're signed in, you can maybe go click this link. I would prefer that, if you're signed in, it's better to go to back to your Module 2, scroll all the way to the bottom, and here is your library guide. Now, this library guide is put up specifically for this course. It's at the bottom of every module, so you don't need to find it in a specific place. It's in lots of places, okay? And again, for your specific topic, here is one about apartheid in South Africa. Here is the one about the drafting of the U.S. Constitution. I'm going to use that one. You can read what it says here. Then you can talk about, there's a link here about writing specific research questions. There's some areas where you can read about starting up how to brush up on the issues and details that were surrounding the first Constitution. That's kind of important. So you can click that, and it's going to take a minute or two to load as it does. But for us, once this is loading, we're going to go back and look at some of the other things. Here's some other things that you can look at as a brush up. You do not want to use an encyclopedia ever of any kind for your secondary source. You will want to use a primary source. So let's go back to the library guide. So for primary sources, click the primary source link. It will talk to you about certain primary sources that you can find. Here's one from George Washington. You can take a look at other areas. There's the Federalist Papers. You'll want to look at some of the other things that are online, some particular letters, and they'll tell you what a primary source is. Secondary sources, click the secondary sources. You can see an example here of Meyerson, who talks about the legacy of the Federalist Papers. There's the Quinton article, who talks about the Federalist Papers, and he also talks about some of the importance here. Anyway, so, and here is the article in the PDF database. Now, here's where you will search for more. And again, you want to ask a librarian? Absolutely. Chat with them, ask them, call them. That's what they're there for. And so this is something that's possible for you. Can you use Google? Well, you can use Google. But it's going to be hard to use Google because Google is geared toward looking for specific general sources. You don't want general sources. You want specific sources. So we talked about APA format. Go back down here to citing and writing. Click the citing and writing button. Here is a section on APA style and how to put it together. And here are links on how to do that. Now, if you want to know more about this, I've got another section that you can look at. Go back to the course. In the course section here, if you will go back to module 2, and under the course menu, if you'll go to course menu, I've got them here. If it's taking too long, go to the course menu and click the pull down and go to the discussion section. And under the discussion section, you will see general questions. Click the questions. I have some postings here. And what you're going to look at is there is a section here under writing links and helps and video. This is for you guys to go through. There's a whole bunch here. This citation machine will take you to link to put in APA format. What is formal academic writing? What are some tips for this? These are all parts of things that can help you. I also have some videos here on what is formal academic English. Here is why we do not use Wikipedia or other encyclopedias. These are sources that cannot be used in this course. And of course, if we go back another one, there are sections here where I have set up for you for the three topics that we're using. There's the Constitution, there's the Mao's rule over China, there's apartheid. You can, if you find a source to help other students, you can click this area and you can list a source by all means. I already have some things listed for you here already. If you have the course here, for example, for apartheid, there is a article here. But you have to be signed in for this, where you can get a brief history of South African apartheid. If you find another source, you can reply and give the source for another student. It's not a contest to find who finds the sources first. And if you get help, I always ask, well, give some back. I hope this has been helpful. Now, when you're done, go back to the topic sheet. And at the end, give 3 to 5 sentences. That's for a paragraph. That's usually 3 to 5 sentences. You'll want 2 of them. 3 to 5 sentences in 1 or 2 paragraphs. 3 to 5 sentences on what you have learned. What was something new you learned from the sources that you've looked at? Okay, so this rounds off generally what your first project 1 will look like. We're going to build upon this topic. Once you've chosen your topic, we're going to look at this topic. You're going to be using that for the next 8 weeks about how to perfect that and using other sources. You're going to want to read those topic sheets. You're going to want to read those sources that you found. You may even actually have to find more. We're going to refine these questions and make them into a thesis statement, which will become something important later on. I hope this video helps. Please let me know if it has. Thank you.